Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Wednesday, November the 24th. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading. We're still talking about indicators today. TRO, ATR lines. As always, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Okay, the ATR lines indicator. ATR is the average trading range. It's most of the time it's pretty similar to the range, which is high minus low, but it's a different formula. And of course, if you type in ATR, you can look it up in Investopedia or something if you want to understand the formula. So I've got the indicator loaded up here. Other than the buttons, it's the only one on the chart. And you can see it plots lines and it plots a couple of rectangles. So let me explain what these lines are. We'll start with the rectangle. This says daily open plus ATR2. This says daily open plus ATR14. So why do I have two ATRs? Well, actually, what the indicator does is it looks through ATR2 through ATR14, and you can change these because obviously these are inputs, and it says, okay, it looks at all the different ATRs, ATR2, 3, 4, etc., up to 14 in this case, and it says which one's the biggest and which one is the smallest. So ATR2 happens to be the smallest, ATR14 happens to be the biggest this time, but that's not always the case. Let's just switch a different pair. Maybe because of the way this week is, maybe that, oh no, we have ATR2 is the min, but ATR8 is the max. Let's pick another pair just to see. ATR2, ATR11. So I guess yesterday and the day before were pretty compressed because it seems like, let's try New Zealand here. Yeah. Well, actually, this is different. It says the ATR2 on the New Zealand was the max, but the ATR11 was the min. And here on the pound yen, we've got ATR4 and ATR2. So you can see the indicators figuring out what the biggest one is and what the smallest one is, and then it paints this range. Why? Because let's just say you were using ATR 14. Well, that might be in the middle here. And if price didn't quite hit it, you might not look for a reversal, so you could miss a trade. So that's when I came up with the quote unquote ingenious idea of let's just look at the min and the max. Because rather than have a single level, it's more about an area or range that something may happen. So for example, we come down or we come up, back towards the open. You can see we've got the ATR times 0.5. A trader asked me to add these two lines because they like to use them for targets and to exit and to reverse. And so you can see here on the pound yen, it actually came down, exceeded this area here of half the ATR, came back through it, and then crossed and headed back towards the open. So that's one of the reasons that trader asked me to make this modification. And you can see here's yesterday's low, here's yesterday's high, and this is today's open. So that's what this indicator does. So you can use it if you're trading away from the open, like a buy zone type trade or daily open crossover. You could look to take some profit here. You could also see that this area would have been the rat zone. And right now If you look at the pound, you see here, we're right around that 50% of ATR. So for what I call the range traders, if you like to trade, and target those type of areas, this is an indicator you might be interested in. And of course, via inputs, you can change the colors, etc. You can change your ATR period. You can change the multiplier. You can change, of course, the colors, the line style, width, etc. And whether or not you want to shade it, whether or not you want to show the previous high-low, or the open, and the boxes or labels. And whether or not you want to shift it. So I shift it one time. So on the ATR period, we've got the daily. And I'm wondering why. Oh, I know why, because I was using it on H1. But I think if we shift this to 0, it'll use the ATR, in this case for the hour. But we might want to look at the week. And you can see here we're getting near, we've exceeded the 50 range. We're getting near the ATR2. And then for the month, okay, we've exceeded the 50%, heading towards the ATR2. Now in TRO HL5, you can also display the distances ATRs, but you can only do it, you'd have to pick one, and I think the default's 14, because a lot of people like to use ATR 14. But that's and notice, because we're on the daily and we're doing a daily, there's no zone painted. And here with the H4, because of that. So if we go back, that's not a bug, that's just the way it is, because you're only doing that zone. And I should update this indicator to have drop down. So for the ATR period, back to 1440, which is a day. Yeah, I should do that. I'll make that change, and I'll post it out on Crestlick. So looking here, we're right here at that 50% from the daily open. And it's the day before Thanksgiving. We had some news come out. And just remember, fellow traders, always have your risk management in place. Never lose more on any one particular trade than you're willing to lose. Okay, on the monthly, you can see we're right near the monthly low. Looking left, and you can see we're cutting across a bunch of wicks here. We've got this interesting area here. Price came almost, looks like, to the midpoint and reversed up. Looking at the weekly, all gaps have filled. You can see we broke that weekly low. We broke 2 weeks ago low. We broke out of the opening range for the week yesterday and today. We're approaching the yearly open down here. No, that's not right. That's last year's open. Yearly open, we're 314 pips below it. 354 pips below the monthly open. We broke out of the inside bar for the month 2 days ago. For the week, because last month and last week were both inside bars. We've broken out of those levels. And we got some inside bar action on the daily, it looks like, in the euro pairs. Range is only 62, only 2 pairs over 100 pips in range today. Interesting, because we had some red news. On the buy zone, let's see. Below the weekly open, below the daily open here. And between this zone and this zone, I almost call that the no trade zone because price is trying to figure out what it wants to do. Green rats, get ready. Take a trade here. Okay, price near S1, bias is long. Okay, looks like that's where we're at right now. Boy, these are all crammed on top of each other. It's hard to see. Yesterday's high low. So yesterday's low was 41. We missed the pivot yesterday. We missed the pivot the day before. That's 2 missed pivots. Very rare. So that means it took out the pivot today, but the pivot today was really close to the open. It's almost a no-brainer there. You can see here, in and out of the lower wick zone, first to the upside, then to the downside. On my scalper, you can see we had a trigger a couple of minutes ago at 32, off of a 3-ball, off of the M1 lowest high. And remember yesterday I pointed out when it makes a new low or new high, it almost always does that 50% retrace. Not, it's almost always. Remember, these are for educational purposes only, and your results may differ from mine. So looking for 43.8. You can see the wall mall paid off here, going short at 50. Ditto for last hour, but going long at 60 would have had your fingers burned. The ranges for the past current and the past 3 hours have been nice. 4 hours ago, only 18, but you can see we're above 20. Plenty of movement across the wall mall lines if you've got 20 pips. Looking here just at the 3-ball ZZ. And one thing I should probably mention, it's real easy to get focused in on this area. That's why Walmall and I like to say look left. And the other thing is sometimes you need to crunch the chart. So you, especially if you're on a 1 minute, because even with the chart crunch, that's not even a whole day. But you need to see what price is doing and determine what you want to do based on what price is doing. So as you can see here on the 1 minute, we put a 3-ball in the bottom, then followed by a 1-ball here. And then you can just start to go up time frames and see what's happening. So fellow traders, I hope you enjoyed today's videos. Find something that you can use to make a profit, and I'll modify and upload that indicator probably, if not today, sometime this week. It should be ready for you by the end of the week. So when you sit down at your trading platform, always remember and never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.